Topic: Database. Calculations in reports and queries. Aim of lesson. At the end of the lesson, the learners must be able to do the following. Reports. Calculations per group. Queries. Use calculated fields. Create a summary query. Data validation. Introduction. In grade 11, you were already introduced to database queries. In the previous lesson, you were introduced to reports. In this lesson, we will learn how to do calculations in reports and queries. Concepts and skills. Grouping in a report. Open the spec_spec database. We are going to use the survey_according table. We are going to create a report and do a grouping according to the type field. The fields we are going to use are type, ID, protected, population. Can you do grouping in a report? Create a formula in the group footer. We use the report wizard and follow the steps. Click Finish and the report will be generated. We want to know what the population of each type of species is. We are going to do the calculation at the bottom of each type of species. For that, we need the group footer. This can also be done in the group header. Go to Design view of the report and activate the group footer. Click on the group and sort icon. At the bottom of the report, group, sort, and total will now appear. Click on More. Click on the down arrow next to Without a Footer section and select With a Footer section. The type footer appears and we can now put a formula in it to do the calculation. Click the text box icon and place the text box in the type footer. Access is now going to do the calculation on the records in the group. The placement of the text box icon is very important. If you are going to put it in the report header or footer, Access will do the calculation on all the records. Queries. The query function helps the user to obtain specific records for a specific field or result. One of the ways this is achieved is by using calculated fields as well as operators to filter the data. This not only increases the accuracy of the query, but also allows the user to generate reports that are much more specific. A variety of operators can be used in a query to create criteria for extracting specific data from a database table. Semicolon equals, and not, between, and like. Wildcards are characters we can use if we know only a part of the text we are looking for. A question mark represents one character and a star asterisk symbol represents many characters. Open the spec_spec database. We are going to use the queries QR1 and QR2. 1. Queries with a calculated field. Open the query QR1 and go to Design view. We are going to grow the population by 10% for all the species that are protected and whose survey date was between January 1st, 2013 and December 31st, 2014. We are also going to round the formula. Can you create a query with a calculated field? Create a summary query with totals. We start the formula with equals round, population, asterisk 1.10. X per 1 will automatically appear as a field name. We can only replace it with our heading, population growth. Our calculated query is complete. 2. Summary query. Open the query QR2 and go to Design view. We want to determine how many of each species there are. Total number of birds, fish, insects, etc. Click the totals icon. The following appears. We want to group by type and add the population, so we will use sum. If we now go to the datasheet view, we have the summary. Techniques to test the validity of data. Here are some techniques you have already learned. Assign a data type to a field e.g. number, text, etc. by setting field sizes. Field size. Set up input masks. Input mask. To set a default value. Default. To set a validation rule in a table. Field validation rule and field validation text. Use the lookup wizard to create one of the following. Combo box. List box. Other techniques are a record validation rule. Let you specify a rule that all records must adhere to. A validation rule in a form. Allows you to apply a validation rule to a control such as a text box. It restricts data in the same way as a field validation rule. Record validation rule. Open the table in the spec_spec database. We are going to restrict the survey date field so that it cannot be after the current date. Select the survey date column and click on the Fields tab. Then click on Validation. We are going to set up a validation rule using an expression. The expression builder opens and we enter the formula. Validation rule in a form. Open the form FRM and go to Design View. We are going to apply a validation rule on the population. No value less than may first be entered. Click on the population field. Click Property Sheet. Now enter the validation rule and text. Activities/assessment. Activity. DB/February, March 2017. Open the 5DAM database. 1.1 Open the QRY5_2 query. I add the town field and capacity field. I add criteria to display the names, provinces, and towns of all the dams in Limpopo and northwest of which the capacity is more than 50,000. Save and close the QRY5_2 query. 1.2 Create a query named QRY5_3 based on the dam table to look like the one below. Please note, the average of capacity field uses the capacity field. Only the data for Free State and Northwest should appear. Save and close the QRY5_3 query. 1.3 Open the QRY5_4 query. Show only the names and towns of the dams which have data for the surface of the dam and which were completed between January 1, 1990 and December 31, 2000, inclusive. Save and close the QRY5_4 query. 1.4 Open the QRY5_5 query. Create and display a calculated field named volume to calculate the volume of water currently in each pond. The calculation for the volume of the dam is surface *height *0.3. Format this field to display 1 decimal place. Save and close the QRY5_5 query. 1.5 Open the FRM5_6 form. Insert a hyperlink as follows. Place the hyperlink next to the province label on the form. The hyperlink links to the province table in this database. CLUE. The hyperlink is one of the controls on the Design tab. Insert a validation rule that will determine that the capacity cannot be less than 50. Also provide an appropriate validation text. Save and close the FRM5_6 form. 1.6 Open the RPT5_7 report based on the dam table. Remove the illustration label and the field. Group the report by province field and sort it by town field. Use a function to determine how many dams there are in each province. Use a function to determine the average capacity of the dams in each province. Round off the answer to the nearest whole number. Use a function to determine the largest capacity of all the dams in the report. Save and close the RPT5_7 report. Consolidation. You should now be able to master reports in Microsoft Access by making use of either the wizard or the design methods. Values. Encourage accurate use of formulas. Use problem-solving techniques. Promote analytical and logical thinking. Resources. Data files. https://wseedportal.co. CA/eResource/192356. DB textbook. https://wseedportal. COD. CA/eResource/88106.